So you've applied for a job and you've been shortlisted, and now you've got a date for an interview, and the nerves have just got control of you so much. If you're wondering what you can do to decrease the nerves for your interview, then this is the video for you. Hi, my name's Sabrina Phillips. I'm a mental health nurse and currently an interim director working with partners in the NHS. On this channel, I teach you the tips of how to rocket your nurse career. I'll also give you some simple lock tips so that you can turn up like a boss, and I also make sure that you keep your coin by telling you about some budget travel tips. If this is something that you're interested in, please come on in, like and subscribe. Now, firstly, you're here to find out how can you not be nervous in your interview. So my first tip is you need to prepare. And I can't emphasize that anymore. So when I say prepare, what do I mean? So you would have looked at the job description, look at the person's spec, made sure that your application form included stuff that indicate that you were right for this job. You would have spoken to your prospective manager as well, and you'd have had a look at the place that you're going to work, who you're going to work with. And what I want you to do is have a re-look at the job description, remind yourself of how amazing you are by rereading your person spec, and just have an idea of what the role is going to be. So once you've prepared, and the other thing to be mindful of in terms of preparation is being clear whether it's going to be a face-to-face interview or whether it's going to be a virtual interview, because there's two different things you have to do, and I've done a video on how to prepare for your virtual interview, so do have a look at that. But in terms of face-to-face, being clear where it is, what time it is, and do you know how to get there, because there's nothing worse than on the day of an interview trying to figure out how to get to where you need to get to, being lost and being flustered. That's not going to do anything for your nerve, so just be really clear about those two things. So my next tip is, in the first bit I talked about prepare, and by that I meant, looking at your job description. So what I want you to do is, when you look at the job description and the person's spec, especially for NHS jobs, they're really clear on what you're going to be, which parts of the job will be assessed via your application, what's going to be assessed via your interview, and what will be assessed using a presentation or some sort of assessment centre, if that's what they're doing. What I want you to now do is write down some questions that you think might come up for the job, or some questions that you can then evidence the different skills, knowledge, experience that you have that fits with the different parts of the job description. That sort of indicates there might be a question around that will be explored at interview. And the reason I say write it down is, one, you're thinking about what you want to say, but putting pen to paper, you sort of then start doing it in a logical way. And what to do is, come up with what I think you should have is 2 to 3 different examples that you can use for different questions, because I know it says interview, but it's a conversation. You've got, the fact that you've got an interview means you're 50% in for being offered the role. So they want to learn a bit more about what you've put in your personal statement, what you put in your application. So by writing out some questions and some examples, you start thinking really logically, or having some things that you can refer to when you go into your interview. So that is tip number 2. Tip number 3 is practice. Now, so you've written down your different examples, the potential questions that you might have. What I want you to then do is practice these answers, because there's nothing worse than, turning up at an interview, being asked a question and you just go blank. It's human, we do that. However, if you've practiced, you've already got into a rhythm of how you would answer the questions, you think about the things that you want to say, so it would be, I think, a lot easier in the interview situation to be able to answer it because you've practiced. And there's myriad ways that you can do this. So for those of you, we all have a mirror, so I'd say the first thing is practice your answers in front of the mirror. And one, the reason you're practicing in front of the mirror is you are looking at some of the things that you do that you're not aware of. So sometimes, like, I touch my face a lot, I play with my hair. There's different things that are nuanced to me that I do that you don't necessarily want showing up in an interview situation. So when you're practicing in the mirror, just take note of what you're doing with your hands, your face, your facial expression, those type of things, and try and tone them down, because what you want to do is give a representation of you being ready to take on the role that you're applying for, and you do not want to cast any doubt in the interviewer's mind that you're not ready to do that. The other thing I've heard people do is that they video themselves. So, you know, we've all got a smart camera with smartphones with cameras on them that we can record ourselves, and again, you're going to do what you did with the mirror, just have a look at the things that you're doing that you want to tone down on, but also listen to yourself, your pitch, your tone. Are you speeding up really fast? Are you really slow? You know, you need to think about those things as well, because one, you want what you're saying to land with the person listening, and two, you don't want to miss saying anything that you want in, you know, what you're saying to them. The other thing is, I've got coaches and mentors that I use. So one of the, you know, super tip that I think is really helpful is asking them to use one of your sessions as a mock interview prep. And you could do it one of two ways. You can either give them the questions that you've come up with, or you can work with your coach or mentor to think of some of the questions that you're not so sure about, some questions that might push you a bit for you to have a think of, and use that a session with them to do that, and they will be able to give you some honest feedback and pointers on things that you need to think about. So that's my tip number 3. So tip number 4 is all about you and how you look after yourself. You know, interview situations can be quite anxiety provoking. You know, the reason you're looking at this is because you're nervous. And one of the things that we can do for ourselves is look after us. So I'd say a few days, you know, once you've done all your prep and your practice and, you know, rereading the job description, a few days before the interview, you need to be thinking about your sleep. So making sure that you are getting 8 hours of sleep at least, you know, that you're eating well, you're reducing your alcohol intake, because you don't, you know, alcohol is a stimulant. You know, you think it's going to help you sleep, it doesn't. But, you know, you want to reduce those things so that you are able to present the best version of you at the interview. So especially the night before, make sure you have a good night's rest. The morning of the interview, have breakfast, have some nice calming tea, some mint tea, chamomile, peppermint. I've read things that it's not suggested to have coffee, because again, it's another stimulant and might do the opposite of what you want it to do. So you're in your zone when you're taking care of you. You're doing your positive talk to yourself. So you start saying, you know, I've got this is okay. My 5th tip, which might sound, stay with me, it's about how you turn up for the role. And I've had from one of my coaches, and I think this is a Brené Brown tip, and it's for 2 minutes before you go in for your interview, and you have to time this really well. So if it's face to face, you make sure that you turn up 15 minutes before you go to the toilet, or, you know, and you stand in front of the mirror in what they call your Superwoman Pose for 2 minutes. And what this does for you, it switches your brain around, because, you know, you're looking at you looking like a powerful, the most best version of yourself, and you're tricking your brain into thinking that's how you feel. So your thoughts are then going to be affecting your feelings, which will help to reduce your nervous thoughts as well. And while you're doing that as well, you're repeating your positive mantras. I've got this, you know, we're going to smash it, this is okay. And, you know, I've used that before, and I find you do feel really weird doing it, but practice it enough times and it just becomes part and parcel of what you do, a tool in your, you know, armory, so to speak. The other tip that I've been given is, you know, think about 3 words of how when you're most confident, 3 words that describe how you're feeling. Write them down, and you can put them in your pocket. If you're going in with pockets, put it somewhere where, at any point during the interview when you're feeling a bit nervous, you can tap on it. And it's sort of like an NLP type way of, recentering yourself and refocusing back on your own strengths. So tip number 6 is think about how you're going to turn up. So what are you going to be dressed in? I love red. I've got certain dresses that I wear for interviews that, puts me in that space of mind, in that frame of mind, in that frame of looking the part that I wear. So it's thinking about what you're going to wear for the interview, how that makes you feel, and looking the part. And I'm going to give you a bonus tip, and it might sound counterintuitive, but I've done it for the last couple of jobs that I've gone for, and like I've said, I'm currently an interim director, and it's that bit where I have literally just said to myself, you know what, whether or not I get this job, it's okay. I am going to use it as a learning experience. And then somebody asks, well, what would you do when they give you the job? Well, I will take it. But on a serious note, it is thinking, actually, you may not get that job, and how are you going to deal with that, and having a plan of dealing with that, because then you go in and you can give your all. You can say, this is me, and great if they say yes, but even if they say no, what you're going to do is make sure you get really good feedback about what you did well, what you didn't do so well, and what you could do better. Because interviews for me are, it's a learning experience. I think as a nurse, we can learn new things every day, and the areas that we fail in are where we learn the most from. And I don't think I'd be where I am today had I not learned from the no's I got. I learned a lot more from the no's I got, for more than the yeses I did have. So my last final tip for you is go in as if you may not get the job, but that you want to give the best impression and version of you, and that will put you in a totally different frame of mind, and it will help with your nerves. So I hope you found this valuable. I hope that there are some tips that you're going to use in there. Please do let me know in the comments below if there's any that you've used before, any that you have used that I didn't talk about. And, if you did find value, it'd be great if you subscribed. On my next video, I'm going to talk a bit more about how, when you're in the interview, how you calm your nerves down. So if that's something that you want to look for, I will be linking it in the link below, and it'll be coming up soon. So thank you so much for watching. My name's Sabrina Phillips. I'm a mental health nurse, and I want us to be bold and brave in our career choices. So take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.